So I just finished watching the last lecture vlog by Randy, whose last name I have a hard time pronouncing. He gave some good advice. He was gonna die in a couple of months, but he wanted to talk to everybody about how he had achieved his childhood dreams, and he gave us a bunch of advice. Like, I'm gonna name my top 8 pieces of advice he gave, but he gave so much more advice than that. So, number 1, respect authority, but still question it, which is good advice, and I think I can apply that to my life, because I remember being like a kid and thinking that like the adults knew what was up, and as I got older I realized that's not entirely the case, but you still have to be respectful. I don't really understand people who want to be like disrespectful of those in authority, because 1, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when you do that, and 2, sometimes you can learn from them, but you still want to question it. You can't just blindly follow it, simply because not everybody knows everything and not everybody's perfect. So it's okay to question authority. Number 2, never lose that childhood sense of wonder. He talked about working for like Disney and like being a Disney Imagineer and stuff. He never wants to lose that childhood sense of wonder. And I think that's great, and I never want to lose that, and I plan to hang on to that forever and ever. I'm already kind of doing that. Like, I've got a fairy poster right there. I've got my Harry Potter posters right here. I'm hanging on to that childhood wonder and nostalgia, because that's what motivates you, makes you happy, keep you going. Some people think that when they grow up, like, they can't be happy anymore for some reason, but that's not true, so never lose that sense of wonder. Number 3, help others. I mean, that makes me feel better personally, so I can apply that, but it's a good advice for everybody, because it'll make you feel good and it'll make the world become a better place, so help others. Number 4, never give up. This is the hardest one for me, because I tend to give up very easily. So just never give up. I hang on to that because it's difficult for me. Number 5, show gratitude. You won't get anywhere if you're not grateful for what you have, because you'll never be happy and you'll never be satisfied. And when you achieve something, you won't be able to enjoy it because you're not appreciative. Number 6, one of my favorite pieces of advice, is that the brick walls are there not to stop you, but to show you how much you want something. So if you aren't trying to get past a very big obstacle, if something seems impossible, kind of means you don't want it enough, because you're not trying hard enough to get through it. If you just give up because of a brick walls just show who's really serious about achieving their goals. Number 7, get a feedback loop, which is good. I've already kind of got some of that. Like, I'm a creative person, so whenever I do something, like, I'll show it. There's a certain circle of people that I show it to, because I know you can trust them and stuff. I think everyone needs a feedback loop. Just gotta make sure you've got good people in your feedback loop. Number 8, my favorite. Luck is preparation meets opportunity. I feel like Randy got this from somewhere else, but it's such a good piece of advice, I don't care. Luck is preparation meets opportunity. That is such a beautiful, beautiful thing to say, because some people rely way too much on chance, and they don't think about, hey, maybe I should be doing stuff on my end to get ready for that opportunity. So they're either relying completely on opportunity to take them places, and they're not doing anything on their end, or they don't have any faith that there's going to be any opportunities at all, so they're doing nothing on their end. And that's not true, guys. Just prepare for your end, and then wait for good things. Good things are going to come your way, and I feel like I can do that. So my favorite out of this list here, luck is opportunity meets preparation. Favorite one. The brick walls are there to show you how badly you want something. And number 3, never ever give up. And when he was giving this lecture, he gave the 3 most important words he gives to live by are tell the truth. And the 5 words he said to live by, tell the truth. And he said if I could add to that, I would say all the time. And that's just, it's good advice. It's a good idea to be honest, because if you're lying either to other people or yourself, you will never get as far as you want to go. So you're just going to hit like this barrier of your lies, of not telling the truth. So it's a good idea to tell the truth all the time. So picking a tough hand was kind of hard for me, because I had two tough hands. I wasn't sure. One was out of my control. That was the year I homeschooled, which was a horrendous decision that never should have happened. But I don't feel like there's a whole lot to be learned. It was just tragic and terrible, and I don't think there's a lot to be learned from that. So I'm going to go with the second bad hand, which was my decision to work at a fast food restaurant. And that was the hand, working at a fast food restaurant. Anyone who's worked fast food will tell you fast food jobs are terrible, and they're not the sort of job you need to stay with for very long. So I did that. That was a bad hand. The way I coped with having a job like that was by being super chipper, consuming way too much caffeine, and always like trying to look on the bright side, think about the happy things, focus on the moments when I wasn't going to be there, be like, just get through another day, another minute, get through another whatever. But the thing is, so the chipper, happy attitude, that's a good thing. Good attitudes are good things. And people always talk about, your attitude makes all the difference, and you need to have a good attitude, but there is such a thing as being too positive. Because when you are too positive, you can talk yourself into staying into a situation, like staying with a situation. It's not good for you. And so I stayed in that job for 3 years, and I feel like I only should have stayed with that job for a year, maybe, or like a couple of months. Because in my specific situation, I didn't have to do that. Like, I did not have to stay there for so long. But I did. And I didn't have to do that because I lived at home. All I had to do was just quit the job and just start searching for another one. Because I lived at home and I could afford to do that. But I didn't do that. So that was a bad way I played that hand. The good way was by learning how the lower class of the U.S. deals with things. Learning about the bottom of the chain, which I feel like everyone should know that, or at least for a small amount of time. They should learn about that and then move on to something better. So staying there, I stayed there way too long. Shouldn't have done that. Learning how people who work those kind of jobs live their lives, that was an important thing to know. So there's good and bad things about how I played that hand. And there is such a thing as being too positive and too optimistic. You can talk yourself into, staying into a bad situation, or by always telling yourself, this could be worse, it could be worse, it could be worse. Things can always be worse. You can talk yourself into staying into a terrible, terrible situation by telling yourself it can be worse. So don't live like that, but do take opportunities to learn the way people at the bottom of the scale kind of live their lives. I was also low-key using this job, that fast food job, as a procrastination technique, because I didn't know where I was going in my life, and I'm just while I'm not doing that, while I'm not knowing what degree and where I'm going to go, may as well be working. So I was working, but I didn't have to be working in that specific job while I was figuring out what to do. So yeah, good way to handle it, but also good and bad things the way I played that hand. Good news, had positive attitude. Bad news, stayed there way too long. So that's my hand that I chose to talk about. This is a really good video though. This guy is really neat, and he didn't give the most specific pieces of advice. A lot of people, when they give advice like this, they really hardcore organized, have all the little bullet points, which he had bullet points, but he decided basically just talk about how he personally had achieved all the dreams he wanted to achieve in this inspirational last lecture vlog that he did. And that was interesting because I like that approach, because it's kind of if I can do it, maybe you can do it. You have to see someone succeed to prove to yourself that it can be done sometimes. And he was doing that. He's just talking about his experiences. He's hey, I'm dying, but I achieved my childhood dreams, and that's really cool. And I'm going to tell you how I did that, because maybe that can help you figure out how you're going to achieve all of your dreams. So that's very, very cool. And I feel like I can use that because I'm a skeptic, right? I have to see it to believe it. So by seeing him achieve his dreams, that gives me faith. I'm yeah, we can do this. And I feel like it can make me grow as a leader, because it gives me the courage I need to keep going. So that's how it helps me improve as a leader.